What comes to mind when you hear the word giant dinosaur? People usually think of the scary Tyrannosaurus rex. Did you know that some dinosaurs were even bigger and more dangerous than the T-Rex? Imagine a time when enormous giants ruled the land. These animals were so huge that they would make any animal alive today look tiny. We're going to go on an exciting adventure in today's video to find these lost giants. We will learn about those dinosaurs that were so big they were as tall as buildings. We're not just talking about well-known names. These were real giants of the prehistoric world. In every way, these dinosaurs were amazing. They were huge herbivores that grazed on plants and towered over their surroundings. They were also terrifying predators that ruled their territories with unmatched fury. Imagine going back in time when people did not exist on this earth. A time when the earth was ruled by huge animals, each one more interesting than the last. The world these giants lived in was huge and full of wonder and danger. Their stories are as big as they were. We will talk about the Acrocanthosaurus, the Argentinosaurus, and many other huge dinosaurs in this video. They all had different stories. We'll talk about how they lived, how they stayed alive, and why they were so important in their time. Why should you watch till the end? Because this video will teach you about dinosaurs that don't get as much attention as other dinosaurs. We're going to learn a lot about their lives and find out things you won't find anywhere else. Discover why these giants were so amazing and why they should be remembered. You'll see them in a whole new way. Get ready for an exciting trip through time. If you want to know more about these huge creatures, click the subscribe button and stay tuned. Please believe that you will not want to miss any part of this amazing trip. There was a huge plant-eating dinosaur called the Acrocanthosaurus that started our journey. It stood tall over its surroundings and left a lasting mark on its world. Ready to learn more about this amazing animal? Let's start right away and learn more about Acrocanthosaurus. Have you ever thought about what it would be like to meet a dinosaur that was so big it could dwarf a modern bus? This was Acrocanthosaurus, a huge plant-eating dinosaur that lived in China about 70 million years ago. Acrocanthosaurus was very big. It could be up to 50 feet long. It was one of the biggest monsters of its time because it was so big. It had a big, flat head and a mouth that looked like a beak, so it could easily graze on the tough, woody plants that grew in its lush, swampy home. It could grow well in its rich surroundings because it had rows of teeth that helped it break down plants. It had small bony plates all over its body that gave it protection from possible enemies. With its long, strong tail, it could do more than just keep itself balanced. It could also swing it hard to block attacks. It is likely that Acrocanthosaurus lived in groups. Predators couldn't get to these groups, and it was easy to find and share food. Think about how these huge dinosaurs moved through dense woods and marshes together, taking advantage of their size and tendency to act like a herd. The Acrocanthosaurus's barrel-shaped body helped it store a lot of food, which was important for keeping its huge size and strength. This one-of-a-kind trait helped it stay alive in a dangerous world. Scientists have learned a lot about the lives of these huge dinosaurs from their fossils. These fossils have helped us understand their world and the amazing ways they adapted to it millions of years ago. Want to know about another huge dinosaur? The next animal we'll talk about is the Argentinosaurus, which was so huge that it could have dwarfed even the biggest animals alive today. Stay tuned to learn more about this amazing ancient animal. Have you ever imagined what it would be like to meet a dinosaur that was so huge it would dwarf any living thing today? Welcome to Argentinosaurus, the real dinosaur of the Cretaceous era. Find out what made Argentinosaurus one of the biggest dinosaurs ever by going back in time. A dinosaur called Argentinosaurus lived in what is now Argentina about 94 to 97 million years ago. This huge animal ate plants and trees and moved through areas so big that it could have blocked out a whole football field. It was incredibly long, growing to be at least 100 feet long. It had 4 strong legs that supported its huge body, making it look like a moving rock. It could reach soft leaves high up in the trees thanks to its long, flexible neck. Its thick, whip-like tail helped it balance and probably protected it from being eaten. Argentinosaurus lived in a variety of environments with lots of different kinds of plants and food. It walked across huge plains and dense forests, eating huge amounts of plants to keep its huge body going. No matter how big it was a calm giant that used its size to protect itself. Few dangerous animals would dare to attack such a huge animal, so its size is its best defense. Like most dinosaurs, this big one lived in groups and benefited from herd behavior. Think of a group of these giants moving together across the old landscape and talking to each other to stay alive. They were better able to find food and stay safe because of the herds that helped them. The size of the Argentinosaurus was one of the most amazing things about it. It might have been as big as 100 tons, which is about 14 elephants. Its long, whip-like tail wasn't just for balance, it could also have been used to swat at bugs or scare off smaller animals that were after it. The Acrocanthosaurus is a very important fossil for learning about the variety of sauropod dinosaurs. The remains of this huge herbivore tell us a lot about how it grew, lived, and did well millions of years ago. The Acrocanthosaurus lived a very long time ago, but its impact still fascinates us. It shows how amazing the world of dinosaurs was by showing the huge variety and size of ancient life. After learning about the Acrocanthosaurus, we will now talk about another huge animal. Following, we will explore the world of Dreadnoughtus, an ancient ocean-dwelling predator. Get ready to learn what this old sea giant knows. Can you imagine a dinosaur that was so huge that it would scare even the bravest animals? Late Cretaceous giant Dreadnoughtus was this. Let's look into this huge beast's life and find out what made it so amazing. 77 million years ago, Dreadnoughtus lived in Argentina. This dinosaur wasn't just dangerous, it was huge. Think of a huge creature that would be taller than any current skyscraper. The Dreadnoughtus was one of the biggest dinosaurs ever found. Its length could reach 85 feet. Its huge body was held up by 4 strong legs that looked like huge tree stumps. As it lumbered across the ancient landscape, this huge building made Dreadnoughtus look like a live fortress. The dinosaur's long, strong neck let it reach high into the trees and eat the soft leaves and twigs that most other herbivores couldn't reach. Not only did its strong tail help it stay balanced, but it could also have been used as a powerful defense against attackers. The area where Dreadnoughtus lived was full of life and plenty of food. Dense woods and wide plains provided an endless supply of plants. Think of a scene full of tall ferns and old trees that would be perfect for satisfying this gentle giant's huge appetite. Dreadnoughtus wanted a peaceful life, even though it was very big. Huge size was a strong defense against possible threats, so few predators would try to challenge such a huge animal. The animal was a calm grazer that was happy to roam and eat in safety. Likely a herd animal, Dreadnoughtus did better when it was around other animals. Imagine a group of these huge giants moving through their surroundings together, talking to each other through low rumbles and coordinated movements. They were safer from enemies and were able to find food more quickly because they were social. One amazing thing about Dreadnoughtus is how heavy it is. Up to 65 tons, which is more than 10 elephants put together. Its unique barrel-shaped body was made to hold a lot of food, which was necessary for it to stay so big. Scientists still use Dreadnoughtus to help them figure out what giants were like in the past. Its skeletons allow us to learn a lot about the lives of the world's biggest herbivores. The story of Dreadnoughtus shows how grand and varied the dinosaur age was, showing how amazing these prehistoric animals were. Now that we know more about Dreadnoughtus, let's look at another interesting giant. The next animal we'll talk about is Spinosaurus, a terrifying predator that ruled the old world with unmatched strength and cruelty. Get ready to learn more about this scary monster. Can you picture an animal that looked like it was from a completely different world? Spinosaurus was a thing that didn't seem to belong on land or in water. Let us take a look at the amazing life of this amazing monster. It lived on Earth between 112 million years ago, in the area that is now North Africa. In contrast to many of its dinosaur kin, Spinosaurus was able to live in water. Imagine a dinosaur that could swim like a snake and walk like a really fast rabbit. The size and shape of this dinosaur were both amazing. One of the biggest meat-eating animals of its time, Spinosaurus grew up to 50 feet long. Its long, narrow head, which looked like a modern crocodile's, was what made it stand out. Imagine a dangerous animal with a nose that was made to catch fish in the ancient seas. The structure on its back that looked like a sail made it look even more impressive. Spinosaurus spines were long and tall, and they may have been used to hold up a sail or a hump. Think about a dinosaur with a long ridge that cuts through the water like a live sailboat. It was best for Spinosaurus to live in places with lots of rivers and lakes. This dinosaur lived in and around water and killed fish and other aquatic prey for a living. The area was rich and full of life, giving this huge predator plenty of chances to do well. In contrast to many other dinosaurs, Spinosaurus was very good at catching fish. The long, crocodile-like nose helped it grab slippery food in the water. Think of a Spinosaurus watching its prey in silence below the surface of an old river. It was the top predator in its watery world. While Spinosaurus probably lived alone most of the time, it may have occasionally mingled with other animals of the same kind. It's likely that these exchanges were only about mating or claiming territory. Even though Spinosaurus lived alone, it was a powerful master of its surroundings that fit its unique way of life perfectly. The fact that Spinosaurus lived in both land and water was one of the most interesting things about it. As one of the few dinosaurs that could live on both land and water, its fish-catching head and possible sail made it very good at swimming. Spinosaurus stood out from other dinosaurs of its time because it had these special traits. The sail on the back was another interesting feature. This part could have been used to show something, keep the temperature stable, or even help with swimming. With its sail, Spinosaurus was one of the most beautiful and useful dinosaurs ever found. The Spinosaurus is a very important fossil for learning about the variety of life in the past. The remains of this animal tell us a lot about how dinosaurs changed to live in different places. Scientists learn more about how semi-aquatic dinosaurs evolved and what part they played in the environment by studying Spinosaurus. Spinosaurus' name and story continue to captivate our minds, showing how amazingly adaptable dinosaurs were. Its story shows the huge variety of life that lived millions of years ago, and it makes us think of all the amazing things that happened back then. After looking into the mysterious Spinosaurus, we will now talk about another dangerous animal. Next, we will learn about Giganotosaurus, a huge dinosaur that ruled the ancient world. Get ready to learn more about this huge monster. Can you think about a dinosaur that was as huge as the famous Tyrannosaurus Rex? Giganotosaurus was a dangerous monster that lived in the late Cretaceous. Let's explore this huge hunter's world and find out what makes it so powerful. About 98 million years ago, in what is now Argentina, the Giganotosaurus lived on the Earth. Imagine a huge landscape full of trees, very old and huge dinosaurs. This world was very big and full of life, and Giganotosaurus stood out as the best hunter. It was one of the biggest theropods ever, growing to be 40 to 43 feet long. Think of a dinosaur that was built for speed and strength, with a huge head, very sharp teeth, and strong legs. This thing was made to hunt and take over. Its long, sharp teeth were especially impressive. They were great for cutting through flesh. Think about with these powerful tools, the Giganotosaurus could kill even the biggest prey. Its long, sharp teeth were especially impressive. They were great for cutting through flesh. Think about with these powerful tools, the Giganotosaurus could kill even the biggest prey. Its claws were just as dangerous, giving it more tools for hunting. Giganotosaurus lived in a variety of places, from dense woods to wide open plains. There were lots of plants in the area, which supported many animals. Imagine this huge animal sneaking through the bushes, always on the lookout for its next meal. Giganotosaurus was a top hunter, so it probably liked to hunt big herbivores. It killed its prey with its strong jaws and sharp claws. Imagine Giganotosaurus chasing a group of plant-eating animals and using its strength and speed to catch the ones that move more slowly. Even though it was very big, Giganotosaurus probably hunted by itself. That animal roamed its own land by itself, depending on its strength and skill to find food. Picture this huge dinosaur moving quietly through its territory, always ready for the next hunt. Giganotosaurus individuals probably didn't interact with each other very often. When they did, it was probably during mating season or territory disputes. Giganotosaurus was a master of its surroundings because it lived alone and was very strong and dangerous. The Giganotosaurus's huge size was one of the most interesting things about it. It was one of the biggest killer dinosaurs ever found. It was a little bigger than the famous Tyrannosaurus Rex. Think about a monster that was as long as a school bus and ruled the world. The fact that the Giganotosaurus lived with the Mapusaurus, another huge killer, is another interesting fact. It's interesting to think about how these late Cretaceous titans fought for the same prey. How did the relationships between these huge animals work? Giganotosaurus is a great way to learn about the world of giant animals. Scientists use its fossils to learn about the different kinds of theropods and the complicated relationships between predators and prey in prehistoric times. By studying Giganotosaurus, we can learn about the size of the ancient world and the role of these huge hunters. We are still fascinated by Giganotosaurus because it was the most advanced hunting animal ever. Its story helps us learn more about the old world and shows how huge and strong these prehistoric giants were. We are now done with the story of the Giganotosaurus and will move on to another amazing monster. Next, we'll look into the world of Acrocanthosaurus, a huge, scary dinosaur that ruled the Cretaceous with great power and cruelty. Get ready to find out what this powerful creature knows. Have you ever thought about what kind of dinosaur had shark-like teeth? Meet Acrocanthosaurus, one of the most dangerous beasts ever. This huge dinosaur lived in Africa about 100 million years ago. Back then, the world looked very different. There were wide fields, rivers, and huge dinosaurs everywhere. It was true that Carnivores was a giant. It was one of the biggest theropods ever, growing to be 40 to 46 feet long. It was built to hunt. It had strong legs to chase down food, and its jaws were huge and full of scary teeth. Its most dangerous tool was these teeth. They were very sharp and serrated, just like a shark's, and were great for cutting through meat. Imagine facing a dinosaur that could tear its food apart like a great white shark. The open fields and river valleys were ruled by this animal. There, groups of plant-eating dinosaurs lived. When it came to hunting, Carnivores didn't waste any time. It went after big animals by being very strong and moving very quickly. Its sharp teeth made quick work of killing its food once it caught it. It worked hard to find food and was always on the lookout for its next meal. Carnivores liked being by itself, both to live and to hunt. There was no need for a pack or family group. It was big and strong enough to rule its area. It may have met another Carnivores once in a while, maybe to mate or to fight over territory, but for the most part, it was the only one who lived on that land. One of the most interesting things about Carnivores is how it lived with Spinosaurus, another huge hunter. We still don't fully understand how these two huge dinosaurs lived together in the same place. Did they fight over food? Or did they stay away from each other? This question makes the world of Carnivores even more interesting. The bones of Carnivores help experts learn about the past. They show us how amazing these very old predators were and how big and dangerous life on Earth could have been millions of years ago. The Carnivores is a reminder of how powerful nature can be, and its story makes us think of the huge animals that used to walk the Earth. But this isn't the end of our trip through the world of giant animals. The next dinosaur we'll talk about was Mapusaurus, who lived in South America and was also a huge hunter. And how did it stack up against Carnivores? Keep seeing to learn more about this powerful animal. So what if I told you there was a dinosaur bigger than the well-known Giganotosaurus? This was Mapusaurus, a huge animal that lived a very long time ago. Let's dive into its world and find out what this huge hunter is hiding. Mapusaurus lived in Argentina about 96 million years ago. Back then, there were huge plains and thick woods where some of the biggest dinosaurs ever lived. In this ancient landscape, Mapusaurus was a huge predator that ruled its area with size and power. This dinosaur was very big. It was 40 to 50 feet long. At the time, it was one of the biggest meat eaters. Mapusaurus was built to hunt. Its body was strong, and its head was very big. Long, sharp, and serrated teeth made it easy for it to tear through its prey's skin. Imagine a dangerous animal with teeth that look like blades that is always ready to attack. Mapusaurus lived in a world full of big dinosaurs that ate plants, so it had plenty of food to hunt. Always on the lookout for its next meal, it moved around the fields and forests. It was one of the best predators and killed huge animals with its size and strength. Picture this huge dinosaur sneaking up on its food in silence before attacking quickly and killing it. Mapusaurus was probably a lone hunter, unlike some dinosaurs. It was strong enough to protect its own area and rule it by itself. Picture it moving through its territory, ready to attack anything that got in its way. It most likely only met other Mapusaurus when it was time to mate or in rare dominance disputes. Most of the time, it lived a strong, alone life. The huge size of Mapusaurus is one of the most interesting things about it. It was as big as the Giganotosaurus and was one of the biggest meat eaters ever found. Picture two of these huge predators roaming the old lands next to each other. In the same place, how did they fight for food and space? Scientists are still not sure how to answer that question. The study of Mapusaurus helps paleontologists learn more about the world of big predators. The fossils of this animal show us how diverse and powerful theropods were, as well as how complex environments were in the past. Scientists and dinosaur fans alike are still fascinated by the story of this huge killer. We now know more about the story of Mapusaurus. Let's look at another amazing hunter, Acrocanthosaurus. Keep reading to find out what made it stand out in the world of dinosaurs and what made it special. What if I told you there was a monster whose back was covered in huge spines? Meet Acrocanthosaurus, a huge monster that lived in North America in the past. Let's learn about this amazing dinosaur's history and find out what it knows. The Acrocanthosaurus lived between 113 and 100 million years ago, in the early Cretaceous age. It lived in the old lands of North America, which were full of lush woods and wide, open plains. Acrocanthosaurus was the most powerful predator in this area, using its size and strength to rule its range. This dinosaur was very big. It was 35 to 40 feet long, but its huge spines were what made it stand out. These spines went from its neck to its tail, giving it a very strange look. Think of a dinosaur whose back has long, bony plates that run along it, almost like a spine-like line that is alive. It had a big head full of sharp teeth. These teeth, which look like daggers, were made to cut through skin. Think of Acrocanthosaurus and its strong mouth, ready to crush anything in its way. Acrocanthosaurus lived in a range of places, from dense woods to wide open plains. There were many plant-eating dinosaurs in the area, so it had plenty of food to hunt. Picture this animal stalking through the trees or following groups of herbivores, using its speed and strength to catch them. While many big carnivores hunt alone, Acrocanthosaurus most likely did so by itself. It went around its own area by itself and used its strength and size to find food. Picture this spined giant moving slowly through its surroundings, always alert and ready for the next attack. Likely, interactions with other Acrocanthosaurus were not common. Some of them may have gotten together to mate or fight over territory, but most of the time they lived alone and ruled their area. The spikes on Acrocanthosaurus were one of the most interesting things about it. It looked really different because these spines were higher than those of most other dinosaurs. Imagine a huge dinosaur with a row of very tall spines on its back. This would make a very striking shape. Its size and strength are also very interesting. Acrocanthosaurus was a very big animal that lived in its time. How did its strong spines and body help it rule its surroundings? This puzzle adds more to the story of this very old animal. The fossils of Acrocanthosaurus tell us a lot about the world of huge predators. Scientists use its fossils to figure out how these huge hunters lived and how they changed the areas where they lived. Learning about Acrocanthosaurus shows how complicated and varied life was in the past. We have now learned about the amazing world of Acrocanthosaurus. Let's move on to a dinosaur that is even more amazing. Now we'll talk about Tyrannotitan, a huge hunter with some of the strangest features you've ever seen. Get ready to find out what this strange creature is hiding. What if I told you there was a dinosaur that was as big as the terrifying Tyrannosaurus rex? Tyrannotitan was a huge monster that lived in South America a long time ago. Let's learn about this huge dinosaur's history and find out what it knows. It lived on Earth around 98 million years ago, during the late Cretaceous period. What is now Argentina was its home. It was a place with big floodplains and thick woods. Tyrannotitan was the most powerful and large animal in this area, controlling its territory with its size and strength. This dinosaur was very big. It was about 40 to 45 feet long. It was very scary because of its big, strong body and intimidating head. Imagine a dinosaur with a huge, strong body that was built to rule its environment. Tyrannotitan's big, sharp teeth were great for cutting through skin. There were sharp, blade-like teeth in its strong jaws that helped it tear its food apart. Picture this huge animal that eats other animals and has a scary-looking mouth that can kill even the biggest plants. Tyrannotitan lived in an environment that was always changing and was full of dinosaurs that ate plants. Its surroundings gave it a lot of chances to hunt. Imagine this huge animal that is always on the lookout for its next meal, moving through woods and floodplains. A lot of big animals hunt alone, and Tyrannotitan was probably one of them. It was big and strong enough to find food on its own as it roamed its area. Think about this huge dinosaur roaming its territory, always on the lookout for food that isn't paying attention. Likely, interactions with other Tyrannotitan were not common. They may have met when it was time to mate or when they were protecting their area. Most of the time, these giants lived alone and ruled their territories with great power. The Tyrannotitan's huge size was one of the most interesting things about it. It was as big as or bigger than the Tyrannosaurus rex at the time it lived. Imagine a dinosaur that was so huge that it dominated the old landscapes just by being there. What part it plays in the ecosystem is another interesting fact. Tyrannotitan lived with other giant animals that ate plants and animals that hunted. How did it become one of the best predators? This makes the story of this amazing dinosaur more interesting. The history of Tyrannotitan tells us a lot about the world of big predators. Scientists use its fossils to learn about the different kinds of theropods and how they lived in ancient environments. Tyrannotitan shows how big and complicated life was in the past. We've gone back in time to learn more about some of the most interesting dinosaurs that ever lived. From the huge Acrocanthosaurus, whose back is spiked and intimidating, to the unique Spinosaurus, whose body is shaped like a sail. Each of these giants has an amazing story to tell about how it survived and changed. The world these huge animals lived in was very different from ours. They did well in a lot of different environments, from dense woods to wide rivers. Their stories are more than just about how big or ugly they are. They show how well they can control and adapt to their surroundings. But why do these stories matter so much? They show us a lot about the different kinds of life that used to be here. By studying these extinct animals, we learn a lot about how ecosystems worked in the past and how different species changed to survive in their new environments. Their bones tell us a lot about how they lived, what they ate, and how they behaved. Each new find helps us understand the complicated picture of life in the past and shows how these dinosaurs were able to become the most powerful creatures in their world. The stories about these giants who have been lost are just the start. Many more dinosaurs and other ancient animals are still out there waiting to be found. Each one has its own story to tell. As we continue to discover and find new things, we learn more about the long history of Earth. The study of dinosaurs is like an exciting journey that never ends. Knowing more about the huge variety of life that lived on Earth before people arrived is getting easier with each new discovery. If you liked this trip through the world of ancient giants, please become a subscriber. Click the like button and share this movie with other dinosaur fans. Watch this space for more exciting stories from the past. Come with us as we continue to solve the secrets of the past and bring the amazing stories of the dinosaurs that used to rule the Earth to life. Thanks for helping us share these intriguing stories. We hope to have more to share with you soon.